Greetings, how's everybody doing? I want to say hello, salutations, blessed be, and all that stuff. The great outdoors. You know, we, by absolute default, already have everything inside of us that we need for a wonderful life. Our outer surroundings also, of course, play a very important role, an integral role, and yet, interestingly enough, we are somehow always where we are supposed to be. We do have the power to change things, and if we do change it, then that is a deliberate alteration, so to say. I don't know how do you want to put that, for our karmic pattern, which is being enhanced or shifting for the better. But either way, whatever is in the heart, whatever you are doing, whatever you decide to do and actually manifest and establish, that was the path that you are supposed to take. Obviously, many things are interlinked. I'm not necessarily going to say interchangeable, but sometimes, yeah. And free will and destiny are actually one and the same, and when you sort of tweak the mind to understand how that works, with just even a little bit of thought, you'll see that it's quite wonderful. Being outside here in the heaving green with the water, the firm stone, little breeze, sunlight, blue sky, beautiful day, a bit of a hot day, according to my hairy Caucasian body. But yeah, it's still morning, so it's not that bad at the time of the recording anyways. So I wanted to say to everybody, very important to not detach too much from the world. Take it from me, who has a person that has done that for many, many years, being way up in the clouds and sort of detaching from the earth a little bit too much. Some people do that, and that can cause a lot of problems, perhaps. Similarly, ding, that guy agrees. Similarly, if you're too much, obviously in the 3D world and the manifested things, too obsessed with it, then you'll be ignorant of higher things. So honestly, it does come down to, and yes, you guessed it, being in the balance. Some forms of thought or magic or philosophy talk about energy currents that come from the sun, yes, energy currents coming from the earth, energy currents that are altogether invisible and remain as such, the great mystery of the divine, and the lunar energy and the planetary energies which balance and shift the seasons and the modalities of this planet, depending on the locality. And the whole point, I guess, of the video is to say where you're at, it's where you're at, it's where you chose to be at. Not necessarily agreeable, and yeah, I know that sometimes we want to have change of things, we want things to be a little bit easier. Obviously, the world is facing economic and environmental crises and a bunch of things, but at the same time, this is process and progress, and those words are similar for a very good reason, because it is the same thing ultimately. We are going through this wonderful shift, even though maybe some harsh times are still yet to come. But finding the balance and not being disheartened, not being disillusioned with things, not being too afraid of things, not being too heavy with things. And please, and the geese agree over there, honk honk, I don't know if you can see them very well, geese and seagulls. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, being in your place at the time and the world is going where it needs to be, it is processing and progressing. And although there are hard things coming sometimes, ultimately we're going to where we need to be for our ultimate learning process. Spirits or souls, I don't know, different schools denote different names for different things. But your core self, your highest self, that's not limited to space or time or shape or form necessarily, although in part of the amalgamation, I guess we are like that for the moment we find ourselves in. But yeah, realizing that you are doing good whether you know it or not, and achieving things, and sometimes we need to take breaks to reset. There's a season, even as nature teaches us, a season for all things. or in Solomon's words, a time for peace, a time for war, all these sort of things. So that can often just mean war against yourself to fix something that's a weak link, or maybe you need a lot of nurturing for that part. So nature teaches us, and I don't just mean the nature of like the green earth and the blue sky and the water, but nature as in planets and invisible forces and stuff. That which is natural, that is real, that is manifested from the God source mind, if you want to put it that way, and the heart of it, and our own co-creation with it. And finding your balance in this, and finding your place in this, and really being true with yourself, and not being too much of this and too much of that, and knowing when, and that's honestly a key element, is knowing really when to be a little bit disciplined with yourself and when to be really gentle with yourself. I can profess from my own experiences, when I'm being too hard on myself, my impatience for other people and conditions and certain things shrinks. Well, of course it would. When I'm being gentle and more kind, as long as I have some energy to donate, as you probably find for yourselves, it's easier to sort of spread love and give things. Most of you watching the video probably are, as myself and many others like us, like the wounded healer, becoming more healed and trying to be warriors as well, for spirit and for the earth. The earth is holy, the divine essences are holy, order and chaos are both holy unless taken to extremes. And let's realize this. And really what I'm trying to say is, since every single person, every single thing can be the center of the universe, the default equality of everything, if we come to see that, it's not to say that the stone is going to perform as much as a human being can, but the equality meaning it is important to exist since it is there, it's serving the greater good. And in that sense, with the big pizza pie of it all, that equates to the balance. So knowing this and finding this in yourself is most important, and being honest as possible. Obviously that's something always to be repeated as often as we might, to be really honest with yourself, and knowing when to compromise, and knowing when, if I may say it this way, knowing when maybe you should try to convince somebody or others or something for them to compromise. For example, gasoline, fossil fuels and pollution and stuff, it's no excuse for that anymore. So those default things that we've inherited, we need to change that, and we need to sort of keep promoting the changes so that compromise can be made, which is not a compromise. I mean, at that point it's a healthy thing on that particular example. Or if someone's being very stubborn, or yourself, ask yourself to, like the seasons, am I being a little too summer or a little too winter, for example, or a little too fall, or a little too springy, like these kind of things. And being like the world tree, which gives to all, which is rooted in all, which accepts all, and yet which teaches things with many lessons, diversified, harsh and gentle. So be like the world tree in yourself, to put it in one such way, and find yourself in happiness, rooted way in the sky, way down in the earth, and balanced in yourself, and having a sure footing in the multiple dimensions as much as you can, while not overtaxing your mind. And if you're feeling slow and sluggish, give yourself a splash of water, literally and figuratively. Why not? I'll do it now for funsies. Not the cleanest water in the world, but you gotta practice what you preach. So there you have it, my friends. I'll send that off. Many, many, many blessings to you. And I'll turn that back real quick. Please enjoy your moment. Be a bridge over troubled water, or be the serene water swiftly or gently going under the bridge. We are able to adapt and be many things. Let's not forget the art of flexibility, and sometimes we need to be stubborn as these very stones themselves, which are just patient. Trees are very patient, for example, putting up with a lot of stuff, yeah? We have to be like this too, without overburdening or abandoning too much of ourselves. Much love to everybody. Catch you on the flip side.